Hi, and good evening. For the second time today, a large section of an Irving parking lot and parking garage collapsed without warning. The growing hole at the top of the garage shows just how unstable this structure is. So take a look at the moment that second large piece of the top deck fell. This is about 4:30 this afternoon. There it goes. Dozens of cars damaged. A much larger section collapsed shortly before noon. Thankfully, no one was trapped or injured with either collapse. All right, let's take you up above, live from Sky 4, flying in the area. The Irving Fire Department has taped off most of the structure, and at this point, no one else is being allowed to retrieve their vehicles from either the top or the underneath the bottom level there. Fox 4's Natalie Solis is on the ground in Las Colinas near 114 and North Connor Road. Natalie.
Well, Heather and Steve, for now, firefighters are calling this a spontaneous collapse. And as you mentioned, late this afternoon, a second portion came crashing down, startling all of us around here. Now, it's unclear what may have caused parts of it to pancake down onto the first floor, but firefighters just glad this did not turn into a search and rescue.
Like the whole section just came down at one time.
Tommy Richardson had a front row seat from his office as the adjacent two-story parking garage near Highway 114 and O'Connor Road came crashing down around 11:30 this morning.
A massive rumble, dust flying up, and my immediate reaction was, I hope nobody's in those cars down below.
He called 911. His colleagues raced to help, calling out to anyone who might be trapped.
Can you hear me? Yell if you're alive, yell if you can hear us, and then we would all get silent, nobody would move.
Irving Fire Rescue went to work trying to find any victims. Crews taking extreme care tackling the tangled mess of damaged vehicles and thousands of pounds of steel and concrete.
The biggest challenge on this is secondary collapse, obviously. You don't know how stable the rest of that building is, and obviously there's a lot of weight.
With the help of Dallas Urban Search and Rescue, initial searches found no victims. The good news later confirmed by Scout, a K-9 from Carrollton Fire Department. Witnesses say two women had just finished their afternoon walk under the shade of the garage when it collapsed.
They're counting their blessings today, I'm sure.
Fortunate timing for them, and firefighters grateful it was just before the lunch rush.
Fortunately for us, it's hit at 11:27, and it caught that timing where people hadn't yet started coming out, and it could have been catastrophic.
And firefighters tell me their part will wrap up here tonight, and then they will hand things over to the property owner, who will have to get crews out here to untangle the wreckage. OSHA will also be here to investigate. Steve and Heather.
All right, Natalie, thank you. Let's get you quickly to James Rose. He was on scene and heard it when that second section came collapsing down. James.
Right, you know, witnesses told us it sounded like an earthquake or maybe even a huge dumpster slamming down on the ground. But this is the area we're talking about. You can see that white truck up there and all that blue sky. That's the part that came crashing down. And, you know, I was about 50 yards away, and I thought it was just a heavy lid on a dumpster that slammed. I didn't even look up from writing, but for obvious reasons now, they have fenced off this entire area. Now, from Sky 4, you could see within minutes of the initial collapse, first responders arrived, surrounded the collapsed garage, secured the scene, and began looking for possible trapped or injured victims. Now, none were found after two sweeps of the area, but many of the people working in the buildings around the garage know that at lunchtime a number of people walk around, go upstairs and downstairs and get some exercise in the garage. We spoke with one of them.
There are a lot of walkers over there. We all have our Fitbits and we walk, and it's a great way to get some exercise. So there, but for the grace of God, it could have been me.
Now, several witnesses told us when they heard and saw what had happened, they immediately called 911 and then ran out thinking they would have to help some of the people that were exercising in the garage at the time it came down. But again, thankfully, no one was inside. Now, I did speak to one man, and he owns the white SUV, Lexus, right there. You can see the black vehicle on its side right next to it. He appears to have dodged a bullet on the first and the second collapse, but an assistant fire chief here in Irving tells me their concern is the one closest to us could come crashing down at any minute. And that man tells me, you know, he's okay with that if he loses his vehicle because that's insured. He says he's just thankful that none of his friends or co-workers were hurt when this whole thing came crashing down.